All right, everybody. Corey here. Real quick, just a reminder, I'm not a qualified licensed investment or financial advisor. I just gather data presented to you. YieldMax ETFs are extremely risky still, so please make sure you understand the risk involved in these. All right, so I know I did a video yesterday morning before going into work just to let you know where we were at for our strike prices for the week. Of course, what I didn't know at the time is that a new prospectus was posted yesterday morning. So luckily, Retire on Dividends was watching my video and then reached out to me letting me know about the changes. So I have not fully updated everything, but I did make a few formula changes on my sheet to account for them. And it was easier than I thought it was going to be. However, when things are coded incorrectly on the trades, I may not catch the errors, or I may not catch them immediately. So let's just talk about this a little bit. That's why I want to do this video today. I know it's lunchtime the day after that I'm doing this video, but I at least wanted to follow up from yesterday morning and some of the changes, and so you can see what we have going on. And then I have not. I could have. Sorry, let me make a few of these columns a little smaller so we can see how much we can get on the screen. Now, I didn't go through these and scrub these afterwards. I just happened to catch this one yesterday, which then made me realize I'm going to have an issue with catching errors. Because used to, if I had a bunch of NAs on my sheet, then I knew something on the trades was coded incorrectly because I didn't have a formula set up for that kind of trade. So it let me know, boom, something's wrong. Now, because I have a formula, when there's the opposite happening, it automatically says it's a bought call. So unless I'm, really going down through here and paying attention to those, I'm not going to notice it. The reason I noticed this yesterday, because I haven't updated my daily yet, but in my data check column here, I had a positive 10.5 million, and that didn't make sense. One, I shouldn't have a positive. Then I was like, oh, it's just the bought calls, but I shouldn't have a positive, right? I know I'm talking y'all through this, and most of you probably don't care, so I apologize. You don't have to watch this one, but I just, again, wanted to go through this. But so that let me know this code was wrong, and I had to then go manually make some changes here, because otherwise it looked like I was closing out a bought call that we already had, and that was not the case, because I had actually went back to the holdings from the previous day just to make sure, and then I had looked at the trades from last week, and there were no bought calls from back then. Sorry, I've been trying to catch up on all the trades and then messing with the formulas. So that will make it a little bit. Now, I did put bought call here. I left the short call here like normal. That's what we're all used to and everything else. And then I spent too long trying to figure out what I wanted to call this. So in the end, I just called it we bought a call. We're not always going to have those here. We will have that with some of them here. And then I changed the color totally, right? Orange, a bright orange, so it would stand out to us on top of it saying a totally different name, because I needed to say a different name. I needed to pull in a different formula. I needed to do a different color. So we should be able to see those, and this will be the first video going through these, and then I did not put these in alphabetical order, unfortunately, but we'll work with it. But we'll go ahead and go over the trades, and then we'll go over the holdings with it as well, and you'll see how these show up in here. All right, so in case you're new, we're going to do these in alphabetical order, and I haven't changed anything on the sheet except for the bought call stuff will be on here now. I'm sorry, alphabetical order for the short, for the long ETFs. Then we'll have the short ETFs, and then we'll have YBIT. So Abney here, I'm going to assume there's no trades, but I guess I shouldn't assume. Let's double check. Sorry, I didn't put these in alphabetical order. So we have Abney, we have the 117 and 118 strike price. We're underneath those 1%. Now this data is as of the today prices as of close yesterday. I can't use this. If I did, like I've said before, I'm having issues with Google Finance pulling in some of those stock prices. So I'm having to go back and look these up in order for it to fill the data in here on these. So this is the data as of, yesterday would be Friday's price, and the today's price would have been closed yesterday, since I am doing this the day after. But as of close yesterday, we were 1% below those strike prices. And then we have the possible upside over there on the side. In this case, they're split, so we're only looking at about 4-cent upside for the short calls, not including the upside that the synthetic can do. All right, so we'll leave the possible upside data over there if any of these possibly have any for you to look at. But I'm going to make this a little quicker video since we just did this yesterday. And this possible upside isn't going to be exactly right at this point anyway, based on us doing it in the middle of the day. But again, all the data is on the sheet, but we're going to look at our short calls and the bought calls too, to look at those. And I know I'm not going over it here, the prospectus or the information, because Retire on Dividends did do that yesterday morning, Monday morning, September 9th. So if you missed that one, make sure you go back and watch that. So there's no sense in me redoing something he's already done. All right, so then we're going to jump on down to AIYY. I mentioned this one before. We're still capped at this. There doesn't appear to have been any trades here. We're over that short call strike price of $21 still. So we're going to move on down to AMDY. This shows there's not any trades. Let's just make sure. I think this was the one that Retire on Dividends had pointed out, the first one he saw where I was talking about those. But I just want to make sure. So I do have Babo. So I see that down there. Babu. I can never get that right. All right, sorry, I don't mean to talk low. I know somebody yesterday said I was talking low when I was in the car. I don't know why I would have. So I apologize if that was the case. But AMDY. So we can see here we have our two short calls, our 140 and 148 strike prices, which is what I mentioned the day before. See how those are negative? They would normally be negative. This one is a positive here, so this isn't an error on this one. It doesn't mean there won't be any future errors, right? And unfortunately, on some of these, it's going to be harder, like I said, harder for me to tell when there is or isn't an error now. But so they bought a call with a 145 strike price. So this is the one thing I noticed too, because all of these are, I should write these down too. Retire on Dividends. So he's talking about Coney's being $10 away. I think I've seen another one in here. As you can see in this case, we have $5 away. I've seen some that are $2.50 away. So I don't know if they have set prices, if they have like a sheet now that says, okay, for these, we're going to do this or whatever. I was thinking about writing them down so we can see where they're at now and if they change, or if this is how they're going to plan out those bought calls as far as that spread, the call spread there. But you see they bought a call at the 145 strike price, $5 above that. So if we get above that 145, then it will allow the stock price to continue going up. I won't go into too much depth of that again. If you haven't watched Rod's video, watch that tomorrow from yesterday morning. But that's also why you see a green positive here, right? Because this is actually This is how much money it's worth. This is how much money it's worth a share, just like our other ones here. And then we will not have this possible upside here. For this one, it would still only be for those short calls, okay? All right, and then in this case, as you can see, this is only, this matches here, so that was the 140 against the 145. Of course, we also have a short call at the 148, so technically we were going to possibly go up some anyway based on this short call. Of course, we would go up even more because we had that $3 gap there. If we can go up to, but not over that 148, that would help out there. Now, in this case, I know we don't see it in Retire on Dividends. I talked about this. Let me go to Friday's trades. All right, so I don't have it coded on here. I didn't change the formula or add these formulas here, but this is that 145 here. And they paid the 53 cents a share for those. So they received that 127, but then they paid out 53 cents. For the basis of the way I do stuff right now, I'm still going to keep, unless Jay and them come out and say something different, or it appears to be something different the next time they do distribution. Somebody, whoever does the next interview, can ask them, but I'm not going to be like, these cancel, this 53 cancels 53 cents a here until I find out otherwise. I'm going to continue to keep that short call. Of course, I'll come back here and have to change all my formulas so this doesn't say short call from that day, but I will get there. It's just, I probably wouldn't even have done all this work yesterday, but playing with the new data, I started messing around with this stuff. All right. So we are going to move on. So we're going to move on to AMZ. Let's just make sure we didn't have any A's. So we have Appley. And then Babu. Okay, so no trades for AMZ from yesterday. So we have the 177.50 and the 180 straight prices there. Then we have Appley here. We did have trades. And I don't even know that I changed the formulas in these columns for the new and existing. So let's look to see what we had on the actual trades. So we had a 232.50 strike price for a short call and a 230. They closed out of both of those. Let's see if I can move these to make this a little bit easier. And they really, because they're the exact same share price. Contract count. Let's see. Can we move that? There we go. It's interesting. So those just so happen to be exactly the same there. Let's look. Appley. Again, it's going to be harder for me to tell errors. Yep, they did. All right, so they closed both of these. Cost them a little bit of money there. And now we have these three. So this one's different. So they have these two here. Sort of hard to tell, right, with all being the same count. They did these two. They did a short call at 222.50, and then they bought a call at 227.50. So they did a $5 spread between those two. So they received $1.39 and paid 48 cents. But then they also did a short call that will expire next week at the 227.50 strike price. And received $1.28. So I don't know what the point of buying the call at 227.50 for this week if they were going to do a short call for next week at the 227.50. I don't know, but that's what I'm showing here on the trades. So when we come over here, we can see those 3 lines there. And we can see now, sorry, I apologize for that. I had to pause the video for a second. So we have the 2 short calls, the 222.50 and the 227.50. One expires this week, one expires next week. We're underneath those 1 and 3% there. Then we have the bought call that expires this week at the 227.50. Of course, we're at almost 221, so I don't know if we'll get over that this week or not. We will see. But that's where we're at on Apple. And then here it looks like they've added 120 contracts to the synthetic and the short call for Babu. We have an $84 strike price there. We're currently underneath that 3%. All right, and then we have Coney. So all of these did not happen yesterday. In fact, let's make sure. Let's look at all of our trades here. So Apple's done. Looks like GUI is our next one in the alphabetical order there. I won't go back and look at the trades for these. I know Retire on Dividends already did the trades for you on these. But you can see we do have 3 short calls here. We have a 160, 167.50, and a 175. They all expired this week. And then we have some bought calls here. We have a 170, 177.50, and a 185 strike price for there. Now, if you're wondering why these aren't in order or why they don't line up, this is the way the holdings come over out of the system. So that's the order they are. All right. Let's move on to Dizzo. And this is one. Oh, I did change the name, so that's another thing. I changed this name, but it didn't change the color because it originally said the other. Only because we have some synthetics that expire next week, and I had already changed my coding to read short call. So we have more short calls for next week than we'll have synthetics. But anyway, we can see here that Dizzo, their synthetics expire next week. We're currently underneath those strike prices by 7%. And then we have our short calls with the $90 and $91 strike price. Then we go Phoebe. We have a $527.50 strike price here for our short call. No bought calls here. GDXY, $38 strike price for that short call. Again, there's no sense to me. I know I did it on a couple of them of doing the percentage under and the possible upside because we're in the middle of the day. It's totally changed at this point, but the information is still here for you. So GUI here. So we can see we have some trades. So they close something out for those to be 100% new. So here we go. So we have GUI. So these are by the quantity. So you can see the first line. They had the 26.90. They paid at 3 cents a share to close those out. And then they put on a new short call from the 165 strike price to a 150 strike price. All right, sorry, I had to stop for my husband that time. So I was at the, I believe, the short call going from the 165 to the 150 strike price there for GUI or for Alphabet, the underline, and we received $1.69. But then they turned around and bought a call costing 81 cents. So that seems, it's a little bit less than half. So is the other one. So if we look at the other one, also they paid 3 cents. We went from a 162.50 also to the 150 for this week. And they received $1.50, and then they did a bought call. Again, the same 152.50 strike prices above, but for this one, it was only they only paid 71 cents. So I'm curious. Overall, they only brought in 304,000. All right. So that's how that is going to work. Let's move on over here, and then again we can see the new things here. We just can't see the closed ones, which is why we had to go in detail on the trade sheet. So you can see now we have that 150 short call strike price, which yesterday we had closed at almost 149, but then we have the bought call at the 152.50. Which now I'm curious at what we're at today for GUI. Of course, or not GUI, Google. Is that one? That is one that comes over. So we're still down there around the 148. In fact, we've gone down today. I don't know what the market's doing today, to be honest with you. I'm just taking this as my lunch, but it looks like, yeah, we're going down. We're 0.5% down. All right, JPMO. We have a 22.50 strike price and a 225 short call strike price, and no bought calls here. And then we have Murney. We have a $80 strike price for a short call. MSFO, $420 strike price. And then Misty. So let's check our trades. Make sure we didn't have anything before Misty and it just didn't pull over, so we are good. So we'll have Misty, NVIDIA, and PayPal. All right. So for Misty here, it looks like all they did was add 400 contracts to the synthetic and created a new short call with the 131 strike price. So we can see that here. Of course, they also had a 132 strike price already as well. All right, if we move it on down to Netflix, you see we have a short call for Netflix for 700. NVIDIA. All right, looks like we have two synthetics. Those look to be accurate. It looks like they might have closed out a portion of them. So let's move over and look. Yep. So they closed out 28,000 at the 116 strike price. Moved those to October to 109 strike price. It ended up costing 21 million to do that. Then they closed out the 118 and 115 strike prices that were going to expire this week, paid 8 and 17 cents to close those out. And now we have strike prices to next week at 113, bringing in about around $11 million there for the short calls. And that helps pay some of that 21 million. So in overall the trades, they're only negative 10 million. All right, so that's what all that is. So now we can see we only have the 113 strike price that expires next week. But of course, we also still have some of the synthetics, some of those with the 116 strike price that expire next week. And they're about out of cash. Obviously, they have cash in the money market there, so maybe that's why they only did a portion of those. All right, we're going to move on to OAR. My phone is going off. OAR, we have the short call for this week, 44.50, and our synthetics with the $45 strike price that expire next week. And then we have PayPal. All right. So we did have trades here. So let's just glance over. But yeah, it looks like they added 120 contracts. Sorry, I don't have the price in here. My guess is I hadn't updated the price on the daily tab for the stock price before I had pasted the values on this tab, because PayPal for some reason is also not coming through, along with Microsoft and maybe a couple of other underlyings. But we can see here that they added the 120 to the synthetics, and then they added to the short call with the 71 strike price. They received 73 cents, and then they bought a call with a 73 strike price, and it cost 21 cents. So if you were netting those two together, 52 cents there. Of course, this cost more money. Actually cost money because of the synthetic costing money there. So it cost $32,000 to do those. So if we're looking over here, you can see we only have that one short call. Let me look. Oh, it says new for the bought call because, well, I say because, but let's check. Yeah, because I didn't have this coded, the holdings coded at the time, so it wouldn't show that it had the bought call there. So that's why it says new, even though clearly it was not. All right, so we're going to move on to Snowy. We have a 113 and 115 strike prices for this week. No bought calls there. Then we have SQUE, and we don't have any trades for today, but we do have the bought call here. It must have been from Friday. Yeah. So this one would have been the bought call. So they sold this call for a 98. Why is this acting weird? All right, 98 cents, and then bought a call for 31 cents. Okay, so we have a regular short call strike, 64, and then the bought call, 67, for the total amount of shares for SQUE. I did this because I'd already pasted values when I noticed the error on the one that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, because this did say bought call because of the error in this code, but I didn't. I'd already pasted values, so I just did that to remind myself that there was a trade here. So you can see here that they just closed out the short call for this week with the 242.50 strike price, and they've pulled that down to the 230 strike price and moved that out to next week. So they got in almost $10 million there for that. So now we can see that they have this 230, just 1,300 shares. I'm not sure why for this week, and then 30,000 there for next week. I don't know why there's only a portion. Oh well. let's move on to TSMY. So we have our short calls 167.50 and 170, and we do not have a bought call here. And then Zomo, we have a 115 and a 116 strike price here. Let's just double check this real quick. Tesla, Apple, VD. Okay, so we have fiat and dips here. So we have our crash. Our short put is 217.50 strike price. Then we have dips here. We did have some trades from yesterday, so it looks like they only added 20 contracts there. I didn't really look at the trade. Let me make sure. Dips. Yep, they added 20, and it looks like on fiat they closed 150 there. So they added 20 to the synthetic, the one that expires in November. And then they added, actually they created a new short put for 101 strike price. So now they have a 95, 100, 100, and a 101 for the short puts for dips. And then for fiat, again, they closed out 150 there. And the 150 from the short put came from the 150 strike price. You can see they have 5 short puts for fiat: 138, 146, 149, 150, and 152.50. And then we have YQQQ. We have one short put there of the 436. And then we move on down to YBIT here. We have synthetics that expire next week with a 28 strike price, and our short call with 18.50 there for BITO. And then, of course, for YieldMax, we still have our, I have to open this up. Sorry, that shouldn't be there. Clear. But we can still see that we have our Moderna short call with the $81 strike price. Anyway, I really wanted to do this because I wanted to re-go over these so we could see what was truly our short calls and all the new bought calls that we had and how that would show up on here. So anyway, hope y'all are happy that I did a follow-up for this and was able to go over the trades also for yesterday and see where our holdings were at and our strike prices for the week. Anyway, I'll talk with y'all later. Bye.